Hello and welcome back to the show. It's me, Chris Brooks. I hope everyone's keeping well. On today's show, we are going to be looking at ideas which inspire, challenge, and reshape the way that we look at ourselves and the world that we live in. Today's guest is none other than Thomas James. Now, Thomas James is the author of The New Blueprint for Humanity and the powerful anthology series From His Story to Our Story, Volumes 1 to 5. Thomas's work isn't just about storytelling, it's about weaving together voices, experiences, and visions that point towards something far greater, our collective evolution, our shared humanity, and perhaps even the roadmap as to where we're heading as a society. In today's conversation, we'll unpack the big themes that drive his writing, explore how personal journey transforms into global transformation, and ask what it really means to build a blueprint for humanity in these uncertain times. So get comfortable, open up your mind, and get ready because this one's going to expand your perspective. So let's jump in.
Are you concerned about all this corruption being rebranded as conspiracy theory? Well, don't you worry. Sit back and relax and join in the conversation with today's guest. Welcome to another LSB Film Productions podcast with your host, Chris Brooks.
So yes, this is going to be very interesting and I'm incredibly excited to hear what you've got to say. So welcome again to the show, Thomas Williams.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be on, and it's hopefully I can connect with your listeners because we do need to connect. For many years, I've hidden in the background, but then I wrote what is called The New Blueprint for Humanity, which you've heard about from the bowler hat guy. And
I'm
also,
waiting for it to be delivered here. It should have come today.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I was hoping to have that before the podcast, but hey ho.
And it's based on common sense, which is rare these days.
Very rare.
Sadly, common sense is almost declared as genius. Some people saying this book's absolutely genius. It's only 98 pages and you've changed the world. But that's all it takes. We keep overcomplicating things. We make things like law and science so it's not understandable. And that's deliberate. So we deny the knowledge, you see. And I funded the books with some help from the members, and they were sent to many so-called top people, but they're not as top as people think. They're way, way down. So Putin got a copy, Trump, Candace Owens, Elon Musk, you name it.
Have any of them acknowledged?
Indirectly.
Okay.
There's a lot of fear, but we sent it to many attorney generals in the States. Andrew Bridgen received a copy in the UK. You're more familiar with him, and many others. And we've gone on, because most of the solutions are generic, we've gone on to create a European blueprint and also a Canadian blueprint, which then tailors to that region, you see. But most of the solutions are generic anyway. And it's about how we change the world, because they told us in their book, we will make man in our image, and people think that's the creation. No, they're going to make us like them, is what unfolded, you see. And what we have to do
So they want to make us godly. Is that right? Take us from humans to godlike.
Well, that is the natural progression of all humans. In fact, all living beings. The term God has been corrupted.
Yeah.
Originally, it meant an enlightened being. There is 7 levels of soul development within a planetary level, which is what we're on. And you've got the physical, you've got the etheric, and the astral, which became a trap big time. And most people are stuck in the astral. And then you've got the 4 mental, what's called the 4 mental planes, where you get telekinesis, telepathy, bilocation, and all kinds of other skill sets providing you act responsibility with full responsibility for them, and also it's not done for your benefit. You have to operate in love, which is a high vibration, not a low vibration. You cannot experience love as a low vibrational being. It's not possible. And most people experience fear. They'll deny that, but the reality is different. I've got a show coming up tomorrow, called the Empowerment Show, that covers all of that stuff, But so once you attain the 7 levels of the planetary level, you have all these skill sets that can influence and manifest things for a better way. At that stage, you go on to the galactic level of soul development. And that is when you become a god or a goddess, not the god or goddess, a. And that's why this planet, the gods used to be here, but we've not produced any in over 2,000 years. We've had teachers who came in.
What, like Jesus? Was he a teacher as opposed to?
Yeah, there's debate over that on who Jesus really is. What I do know is Mary Magdalene was the year 1000, not 0 AD, and she was with a person of very high God level knowledge, who was a teacher called Radomir, and he was from Russia. And that is who the narrative came from. And there's many depictions of them in churches across Europe. They both got blonde hair and blue eyes, which means they're not Middle East.
Yeah, that's always been that. Yeah, and I've always wondered why in the Bible they would have names like Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John.
Yeah,
Can't
they're all
really get
British
much.
names.
Yeah, you can't get much more blub and blighty than that, can you?
Well, the reality is King James, who wrote the last Bible, was a crown agent, City of London, which has got nothing to do with the UK, Britain, England, or whatever you want to call it. City of London is a private group, the Crown Agency. Now, that Crown Agency wields an awful lot of power, the square mile, and people think it's related to the royals. No, the royals are much lower. That Crown runs America, it runs the Federal Reserve, and it also runs the IRS in America. Because the IRS in America is only a collection agency for the Crown, not for America, not for the Federal Reserve. Actually, in the IRS manual, it says it's not income tax you're paying, it's a tribute to the Crown. And most people think, oh, those damn Brits again. No, it's got nothing to do with the Brits. This is what people don't understand. I've been speaking
We
to
probably
people
hate
on
it more than anyone else does.
yeah, I've been telling people in Ireland, they're still hating the British from something that was 400 years ago. That was the Dutch. It's the Rothschilds, the House of Orange. It's got nothing to do with the people and the countries. And this is what we have to get over and come together and stop hating on each other because of something that may or may not have happened 400 years ago or not.
Mm.
The Battle of the Boyne, there's no evidence of a war. I'm not speaking to Irish people, but
Well,
everyone
like David
repeats the
Icke said,
meaning.
all you ever needed was perception.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
And most people's life is run on assumption, but assumption's not fact. It's just a
No.
series of probabilities that they put forward. In essence, I call it cliched memes. And they put it forward, and all the people repeat it, like Smiths out of the Matrix series.
Mm.
But they don't realize it's all propaganda. And if you repeat it enough, it becomes the norm, as we have all found out.
If you repeat a
And
lie enough, it becomes the truth.
yeah, but they have never told us the truth. Never. They say it themselves. History is written by the victors. We didn't win.
Mm,
And that's why, because I've got a lot of knowledge on many, many subjects, and I've managed to dance in certain circles that gave me even higher knowledge at given times. I also wrote a book called From His Story to Our Story, which goes back 105,000 years. And if you wish to learn about this planet, the people, it's in that book. If you want to learn about the bad people, it's in that book.
where can people
Well,
find this book?
it's on our website called thi-show.com, the bookstore. That's
Okay.
the book. There's 5 volumes in there now, but you also have to let go of your belief structure because that is stifling you from learning the real
Mm,
truth. You know, for 4 years, I worked with a very high security clearance that I was given. I never mentioned it to anybody because I'm not into ego and all that nonsense. But it gave me access into what I call their world. You can only learn so much from the internet, and I'd learned a lot, which is why I got that position. But you then begin to find out the hidden pieces that you're never going to learn about on the internet. Who are the players? Who are the puppets? Who are the minions? And most of the alt media think X, Y, and Z are
mm,
the main people. They're nowhere near the top. Nowhere near. There was a document which was called the Marshall Plan in 1953, which was actually the control structure. Um, right at the top, it was the wheel within a wheel within a wheel. And there was about 90 boxes with initials written in it. In 4 boxes, it said human. That's what was in the box. Human. Why would you differentiate human unless there's something else?
mm.
Now, I know there's something else because I've dealt with them in the past. I've dealt with these so-called top people as part of that role. I was working with the trust. We spoke to all the top people, whether it was a Rothschild, whether it was a Rockefeller, uh, the head of the Black Sun, Chinese royals that you've never even heard of. They exist. They're the real power behind the real royals. The royals that you see in England and Holland and all the others, they're all puppets, low level. They're public relations. Then they have no power, they have no control. And it's these royals who are also connected to the ICC because they did a lot of deals on behalf of the planet. And I tried to engage them, but he didn't want to engage because I kind of called them out because they're making decisions on behalf of humanity that I will never agree with because we are all entitled to have our say. And that's what the blueprint is actually about. Yes, I wrote it because somebody had to. I knew back in 2018 the whole system's going down. You're seeing that now. Our members knew. The banking system's going down. They're trying to replace it with a dead currency for dead people. You know the all caps and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. That's it.
You know, and so that's what crypto's for, dead currency. But as part of that trust, we took 60 trillion out of circulation that they stole from the trust, and that trust belongs to all of us. It's got sums that you cannot even imagine.
Is
I've
this
seen
all?
them all.
Is this all part of like the what is it? The I can never pronounce this bloody thing. Cesta K Trust.
Set KV Trust.
That's the one.
That's part of it. Part of the trust is that's your own personal estate, which they claimed under the maritime law. If you don't claim it in 7 years, just like a sailor, you're declared dead at sea. You know,
Mm.
and water plays a big thing in money, currency.
Yeah,
You know,
the
what
river
happened?
bank.
Yeah, the riverbank.
Mm.
What happens to a riverbank? It gets deposits. It's the same thing. As one of the Rothschilds says, he who controls the money, I don't care who makes the laws. And they control the money, they control the country, and also they control the planet. And what we've been seeing and exposing is the sad reality is that people will do absolutely anything to get money. Child trafficking, child slavery, organ harvesting, you name it. It's all there. And we've gone too far away from what we were meant to be as living beings here. Way too far away. And this is what
100%.
the blueprint to humanity is all about. It may seem like it's a system, structural change, which is needed anyway, because every single component of the system that you would label under the cabal um, was not designed for the people's benefit. None. There's not a single organization on this planet that operates for the benefit of we the people. Not one.
Not one
So,
single iota.
no. You'll get your local ones that are interested in helping the homeless and this, that, and the other. But I'm talking about the societal ones.
You
Not
mean
one
like
of them.
things like the Freemasons, where on
Well,
local level they appear to be very charitable and do all kind of good deeds for the community and fun things. But then as you get a little bit higher up the old pyramid, you kind of, yeah,
yeah,
take a back seat now.
it's all the UN, League of Nations, WEF, all these acronym
Mm.
places. None of them are for our benefit. Not one.
Oh, heaven
Child,
knows.
yeah, child protection. They're not for our benefits either. They're not looking after children. They're harvesting.
Wasn't there a
And
big
there's lots
thing as
of,
well with Esther Anston back in the day about the child line thing? Wasn't there a big
yeah,
scandal there somewhere?
yeah, because people started ringing in. But what people don't get is they set that up so
Mm.
they can speak to the ones who are speaking out. It was the same as ITNJ, Robert David Steele and Sasha Stone. They did it to draw out the people who would speak, and then they put threats on them because they contacted me. That's what goes on. And people think because they're in the alt media that they're doing beneficial things for us. You'd be disappointed to know that over 95% of the alt media is corrupted.
Oh,
It's all
yeah.
ran. It's all run
Mm.
by CIA agents, bounty hunters, and all kinds of other nefarious people. Because they're all leveraged, you see.
Yeah. Unlike
And
here on LSB Film Productions, I would just like to throw that in.
yeah,
So,
yeah, but this is what we're dealing with. They'll tell you elements of the truth, they have to, but they're reeling you in for the slide of the narrative. And that's where I come in, because I can hear the slide of the narrative, you see. But they have gems of truth that if you have a bigger picture, you can cherry pick those pieces out.
mm,
And and not everyone's able to do that because not everyone has the fairly extensive knowledge that I have. Anyone look at thi-show.com will show you. We cover practically everything, whether it's science, it's technology, spiritual, empowerment, advancing, we cover the money system. So the programs, society and programs, because we're having programs run on us every day and we don't even realize we're involved in those
it's just
programs.
one big psyops, baby. It's
Yeah,
horrendous. Yeah, it
yeah.
totally is.
But the only way to overcome that is for everyone to let go of their belief structures and realize one thing. Does this planet work for me? Not anybody else? If the answer is no, then we have to come together.
Mm,
Um, like I said, I never advertised my show, not once, because what I'm telling people is not what they want to hear. They want to hear that they're getting this fund and that fund. And I can tell you, having seen the actual funds, all 6,500 trust funds. There's no Nasara and there's no Jisara. There's no San Germain Trust either. They were all put out by the agencies because they know people will resonate towards those programs. You see, that then gets them out of the way. It's all a distraction. Um, but the trust money is there. I've seen it. Just one account of 6,500 had 216 zeros in it. One account.
How much is that?
200. Well, when you analyze, it's probably down to the GDP of the global population. They're saying is about 95 trillion per year. So that's what everyone spends. That's 95 followed by 12 zeros. This is a number followed by 216. So just that one account will pay for everything for thousands of years. That's without the other 6,499.
So where's all this debt-based currency coming from then?
Uh, that was set up by the tax people,
I mean, and
which,
obviously it stems back to like Federal Reserve where they took it off the gold
yeah,
and
yeah,
but
the taxation has been going a long time on this planet. It's all about the taxes and all about the tithing. You've heard that term connected to the Mormons. It's just taxing the people based on a religious construct. And it's gone on for thousands of years.
because
It's,
essentially the church is a construct of government, isn't it? It's an off branch of government. They are one of the same thing. It's just another snare trap,
yeah, and the Vatican has done untold damage on this planet under
especially to
the
the children.
yeah, and it's still going on with the circle below the Vatican. But they tell you who they're worshipping with the giant serpent inside the Vatican, and then you've got that.
Well, the hall is shaped like a serpent's head.
Yeah, yeah, and then
Mm.
you've got the other statue that they said was Jesus rising out of the ashes, but it had a reptile tail.
That was hideous, that thing. Just
Yeah,
what that reminded me of. It looked like something out of Terminator 2 after he'd just been shot with a. And it goes.
yeah, yeah.
It was
You know,
hideous.
but it's got a reptile tail. So how can that be Jesus?
Mm.
So they put it in hidden in plain sight, they call it, but people don't see. They miss the key things because they don't pay attention enough. And this is where we fail as a race of not paying attention enough. We don't pay enough attention to the government. When what people forget, like banks, governments and banks don't have money. They have our money.
Mm.
Why are we allowing them to spend our money in the way they do, sending weapons, money to Israel and Ukraine?
How do you stop it?
Why do
Other
people
than
come
by
to?
not using banks.
Well, the people come together, and that's kind of what the blueprint is about. It's a new blueprint for humanity. It may be seen as a system and changing this and changing that, and it all has to be changed because it's going to collapse. It wasn't designed to work by the top controllers. So that system is collapsing. They're panicking. The top order are really panicking because certain things that they were used to don't work anymore. And they're not going to work either.
Such as.
Um, the monetary system is not working the way it was. The military system is not working the way it was. The AI, the original AI, doesn't work the way it was. The new one has been corrupted, which is why it's spitting out truth. in certain
So corrupted
parts.
in a good way.
Correct.
Okay.
And these things are different to what went before because everything happens in a loop pattern. The cabal are easy to work out once you know the parameters. Find the pattern, it always repeats. And so they repeat certain events. Sometimes it's time stamped and date stamped. 9/11, Sacrifice Day. There's many of them.
Coming up.
Yeah, May Day. Again, that's a tribute to the what was the top order person. Urgency. May Day. Urgency.
So
That's
you've got to
one.
hand it to them. That, and
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to give them credit, but
Well, yeah, they're being
they
clever.
are freaking clever, aren't they?
But if you spot the patterns, which is what I do, you can predict what they're going to do next. It's not that hard, but you've got to do a lot of research to get to that level. But and sometimes I get wind of things and I'll put it out and it stops it. Threats, bomb threats on London. There's a number of them. They were going to blow London. This is going back maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and it was stopped. So if someone puts it out, people go, well, that didn't happen, so that was a load of nonsense. No, it didn't happen because it was exposed.
Mm.
See, because they cannot have full exposure. And this is why they're turning the world into chaos now, because it's them who's in chaos, because things are not working the way they used to. Their plans are being disrupted. Their false flags are being exposed by a lot of people now. And so they're reluctant to keep going where they just went and did what they wanted to do. Now they have to work at it. And they're not very good at working at it because they're just following a script that's been passed down for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Do this, do that. And then they use the AI simulator to then forecast how, if we do X, Y, and Z, or A, B, and C, how's it going to turn out? And the AI tells them. That's why they need the AI. We, the people, don't need AI. It's another lazy technology. And we're using far too much lazy technology when all the technology is within us. Every single technology you can think of external has a blueprint within you once you develop yourself.
Where
No
would
matter
you
what
say?
it is.
Where would you say we are on the old evolution of technology? Some people say that we're nowhere near as advanced as maybe previous
Um,
civilizations. And when you look at things like Tartaria and all the beautiful Gothic buildings, and you think we couldn't do that now, it
yeah,
makes you wonder.
they were not religious buildings; they were energy devices.
Mm,
Same
that's
as
right.
same as the pyramids.
Well, cathedral means cathode,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's
yeah,
mm,
yeah. And Al means God.
cathedral. Yeah.
Yeah, Al, El, and Il all mean God. Of course, we've just had the COVID nonsense, which was pre-planned. I tried to warn some of our members. What medic Al, the gods medics. You see, it's all in the word.
Pharmaceutical.
Yeah, the drugs of the gods. I
Inverted
cover,
gods.
yeah, I cover what I call it word magic because the problem is we don't understand what we're actually saying. We never defined it. There was an example in 2016, there was a peace treaty with some of the off world on this planet. and it was designated for human control. And I had to change the document because we haven't defined human.
Yeah, I'm
There's,
always hearing about human. Oh, we're not
yeah,
human. We're not human. What
yeah.
are we?
There's three versions of human. One is HU man, higher universal man. Human, all lowercase, can mean serpent man or dragon man. So we didn't
Wow.
define it, you see. And this is part of the problem. It's like the word government. Government means control, ment means
Mind.
mind. They're going to control your mind. And we've all heard the term in the last decade, it's a war of the minds. Well, it's actually a war on the heart, because the heart has more neurons than the
Mm.
mind.
I think the
The,
gut also has more neurons than the
no, the
head.
gut is the trap.
Oh, is it?
Gut is the trap. Everything has to flow. So they they block the throat chakra, particularly people like us who are interested in learning the truth. They stifle the throat chakra, it runs right down. You got the crown, third eye, the
Who's
heart,
they?
the controls.
Okay.
Some of them are here and some of them are not. This is the
Right.
reality.
Okay. Less cryptic. Okay. Some of them are here, some of them are not. Where are they?
Some
And
of
who
them
are they?
reside on their home planet, but they have minions here to run things for them. This planet, up until September 2016, was controlled by an off-world group for 16,500 years because the tribal people sold the planet out. The tribal people in Australia and New Zealand gave them the planet on a kangaroo skin. That's the contract. I've actually seen that kangaroo skin. We worked out the loopholes and we managed to change it back. Now, that doesn't mean to say that they will still not play, because they do, but they have far more influence than people realize. And they just keep putting us to sleep. You know, in the last few years, courtesy of Trump, who I worked indirectly with during his first term, we gave him all kinds of knowledge that he's not allowed to hear because his security clearance is too low. All
Don't suppose you're allowed
presidents
to
are.
share any of that with me here, are you?
I can go through certain things,
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know, but he was given help, but he sold out to people. And
You've only really got to look at who he surrounds himself with.
yes, it's the same group always. What was known 105,000 years ago as the Koshis became the Koshers. But it's not all Jews. You have to understand. You know, even the Bible, which is their story, it's not our story. It's their story. Once you understand it, but they'll put bits of truth in because it's cosmic law. And but it's the passage where it says, "We know them, for they are not Jews. They are the synagogue of Satan." That's telling you. But people, when they go to church, they never read that out ever. They just read out passages to pacify
And then
the
hand out the
thought.
collection bucket.
Yeah, and you know, they'll guilt and shame you and fear. How can something holy? But then, do we really understand what holy means? No, we don't. That's another word magic. How can something holy create fear, guilt, and shame? Just not. We're not meant to
Not,
live like that.
no. I mean, like you say, the word God for us is it's got bad connotations to it, hasn't it?
Yep.
I kind of view God as not a man in a cloud, but you know,
Yeah.
we said we were. talked about the frequency and vibration of love. Well, to
Yeah.
me, that is what God is, because love
Well,
is in everything, and anything that doesn't have love is what the darkness is.
there's two emotions: fear, which is all the low-level vibrations, jealousy, envy, greed, the seven deadly sins, and all that stuff. Revenge, retribution, they're all low vibration. And if you're in that category, and sadly most people are, uh, because people are just too negative, with each other, is you cannot experience love. It's an illusion, because love only resides in the higher
Purest heart.
vibrational. Yeah. So they'll tell you to go with the gut, not the heart. You see, you just got to look at what they're saying and then work it out. So they've blocked the gut to access the heart. They've blocked the throat. Don't speak. Shut up. Political correctness, wokeism, liberal, all these isms, all designed to shut you down.
That's what the education system's for.
Yeah.
Get them young.
Well, education actually means training of animals.
Does it really?
Correct.
Blimey.
So it's
I'll
all
tell you
there.
what.
It's in the words, you see, but we don't understand. Take the time to understand the words. If
Okay,
people,
I'll tell you what. It's probably a little bit of a sidetrack, but I just want your take on it because it fascinates me, and you're a very knowledgeable person. I say person, the government construct. You're a very,
yeah,
yeah, man. See, you can't help it. It's
no, no,
just,
these are the cliched memes again. You see,
yeah.
you
Sacred
know,
secretion.
yeah,
What do you make of that? Have you heard of that?
not that term per se.
So it's
It
like
might have a different connotation.
no fap.
No.
Okay, so it's basically the concept where Christos, was an oil that comes out of the pineal and the
Ah,
pituitary. Your Mary and Joseph, it goes down your spine, and
yeah, there's elements of that. I remember reading that a long time ago. But the Christos has got nothing to do with Christ. Christos is a way of being. It's a bit like heaven. It's not a place up there.
yeah, it's a mental state.
Heaven. Everything is inside of you.
Mm.
Why, when they map the brain, does it look like a picture of the universe? Because you are part of the creation. This is what people don't understand. And you've
Exactly.
got a load of people with low self-esteem, but you're the crown of creation.
Mm. Even on
We,
that, I can't remember what church or cathedral or what it is. The very famous painting where the two hands are touching like this,
yeah,
and
that's
behind it is actually your brain.
yeah, yeah, because it's all within.
Mm.
But the problem is they can control the mind, but they cannot control the heart, and that's why they're stopping people from being on the heart. Is that A, you don't experience love. It's only the illusion of. You cannot experience love as a fear-based being. It's just not possible. It's a frequency that once you reach a certain level of development on planet as well as off, is it's what's called the music of the spheres. And
I've
it
heard that.
just envelops you. You cannot describe. That's love. And we are a spark of the creator, which I call source. And we're supposed to co-create. So this planet is in a mess because we've forgotten to co-create in a better way for the benefit of the all. And that's what the blueprint is for, is humanity itself has to change. We all want change, but nobody wants to work for it. Well, everybody should work for it. Everyone has to take responsibility.
Mm.
You are a co-creator. So What are you going to create and what are you going to manifest? Well, what we've created and manifested on this world is an abomination. It's so far removed from life and living. It's
Oh, it
existing.
is. Yeah, it's
It's slavery because
it's purgatory.
people tolerate it.
Mm. See, I quite like what Chris Edwards says. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's on TikTok, and I've had him on my show before. But he's now at the point where he's taught people how to do affidavits and how to write all your legal stuff. But now he just says, right, I just don't, I just don't. What's the word? They're not in my life anymore. They just don't exist. And ever
No,
since he's taken that mindset, he's been left
yeah,
alone.
yeah. Well, legalese. See, they say they have to represent us because we're incompetent. That's why we have that
Mm.
law. You've probably heard that term.
Yeah,
But what they don't know is legalese means babble, baby talk, which means they are the incompetent ones.
good spin.
See,
Yeah.
common law does not work. Magna Carta is not for our benefit.
Well, common law is only
100%.
for common people. The rich
Yeah.
don't have to abide by laws. They can just pay
No,
fines off.
the Magna Carta, I did a whole piece on it, many pieces on it. It was replacing the monarchy with the barons and the nobility and the lords. No mention of the people, none whatsoever, because the people have never been in control. Why? Because we haven't taken control of ourselves. We're too busy bickering with each other, fighting with each other. Something good comes out, and people always look for one line that they don't agree with, and then the whole thing's shit.
Yeah.
We have to stop doing that.
Mhm.
We can't possibly agree on everything.
And
But
I have to
good,
say, that has been my biggest critique through the whole truth movement
yeah,
is that, we're all saying, oh, we're all against the government and the establishment and all that, but we're no better. The stuff that we
mm,
come out with,
it's ego kicks in, fame kicks in.
absolutely.
I was offered enormous sums to step down, and I said no. As part of when I was working with the trust, we were offered 2 billion to walk away from it, and the Rothschilds would control it for the next 500 years. The answer was no, because we cannot carry on selling ourselves out to these usurpers, and that's what they are. They're harvesters of our energy. Money is just energy.
Mm.
People don't understand that. When you really understand life, the idea of swapping your life force energy for pieces of paper with numbers on will seem absurd because everything's already paid for. That's what the trust is there for. It's tens of thousands of years of trading from this planet with others. Tens of thousands of years. Like I said, you don't get one account with 216 zeros just trading
What
on
I
the
want to
planet.
know, though, is who and what gave money its value. If we all said, right,
But
fuck it, we're not going to use this form of currency anymore. We're going to use, I don't know, we'll go back to gold, or we'll use diamonds, or do you know what I mean? What gave
the
cash?
the the controller of the trust, which was Marduk, you may be familiar with that name. He
Marduk.
Marduk was the
Marduk.
controller of the trust. He's not from here. Mainly Alpha Centauri, but also Alpha Draconis. And he was the trustee, and he was on planet up until 2017. And he met his demise, shall we say. But he was helping, gave the impression that he was helping a select group of people that we would call the blue bloods, the bloodline families, because the bloodline families are not us. They're just not. We don't have blue blood. They're not us. They were given license to go and build empires, as it's called, but it's actually empire, Marduk's fire. And the Rothschilds were given $20 million out of the trust, which is our money, in 1520 to build their empire. They were not a particularly prevalent family, but they have a high DNA of Draco.
Didn't they get a lot of their wealth through wasn't it the Nelson War where they beat
Yeah,
back to
yeah,
England with the news?
yeah, they cheated.
Yeah.
They took over the whole of the English stock market.
Mm.
It's just what they do with lies. But they have on they have the most Draco DNA of any family on this planet, which is why they were put up front and they took over. So how do you take over? You take over the money. Well, he had 5 kids, 5 banks, 5 Rothschilds, and then suddenly he was in every country. But before that, there's the Vatican Bank, and the wealth that they accumulated and stole off the people was frightening, you know. And so you're dealing with something that's been going on many thousands of years, and you've got a load of people who've been convinced that we're the only intelligent species in the whole of the universe, which is ridiculous in the extreme. There's 40 billion suns in this galaxy alone. You're telling me we're the only one. It's absolutely nonsense.
So,
And
are you a globalist or are you a flat planist?
it's a club.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a club. There is planes of dimension. This is where people get mixed up. There's planes of dimension that goes across. And
So, when the
sometimes,
Bible talks about the 4 corners of the earth on pillars, is
yeah,
he referring to one of those dimensions?
what they're referring to is the cube that was stationed around the planet as a control system.
Okay, well, we're going to have to talk about that because I've never heard that. And I have
Yeah,
a lot of people who believe in the
they
flat earth.
they talk about the Dyson sphere, but it's a cube, and a cube is a control system. That's why you're seeing these black cubes tilted on the same angle that the planet's off its axis. The black cubes.
Are the black cubes? See, I've always related the black cubes to Satan because
The
isn't
black the black cubes are energy harvesters. The biggest one on the planet is Mecca, Saudi
yeah.
Arabia. They harvest their energy left, right, and center. They always ask you to go counterclockwise because that's drawing the energy away. Clockwise is positive. Anti-clockwise. You look at we have in the UK the May Day, the maypole. They
Mm-hmm.
always go anti-clockwise because that's the way they're told. So they're harvesting the energy, you see. And the banking system's the same. You have a front banking system, which we are familiar with, and a back banking system. There's a front stock market system and a back one. And it's the same thing. The back one harvests out of the front system. So how the banking system works is, imagine a 12-hour clock and all the people who need to share all the money, which is energy, as I've said. But the back system only allows out 3 or 4 hours of energy or money. So that then creates a scarcity, but there's 12 hours. They keep the other 8 back. But then you've got people who are greedy in the 3 to 4 hours that they allow out, who become millionaires and billionaires. But for every millionaire, there's tens of thousands of people who go without, because there's only one pie and we all have to share it. But they've created programs of this is scarce, that is scarce, food is scarce. Actually, that's wrong, because we create 3 planets worth of food every year. So where's it all going? Because 40%
In
of the
bunkers
planet,
underground.
yeah, 40% of the planet's starving. But we're producing 3 planets worth of food. So the problem is, and we've started to copy like them, there's not enough people caring and there's not enough people sharing.
How are we producing 3 planets worth of food?
Based on the population. 3 planets worth. That's some of the stuff that I learned working with the trust.
Where are they predominantly growing all that then? Because like I know in England they're always struggling because of the bloody shit weather. It's either too bloody hot and no rain, or we've got too much rain and all the crops ruined.
Russia is producing
Yeah,
a huge amount of food. 60% of Russia's food comes from people's gardens. They have a community
yeah,
garden.
that doesn't surprise me.
But they tell you Russia's bad, Russia's this, China's bad,
They
China's
said the
this.
same about Gaddafi, and you look at everything that he did for his people.
Yeah, well, he built the water plant.
Hmm.
I think it was Gaddafi or was the other one. Um, they built the water plant and suddenly they were turning the desert into an oasis, and the US military went in and bombed it, blitzed it.
Yeah,
You know,
which is still middle
you,
London.
yep. And the same just happened in Iran. Forget the nuclear. They went after nuclear. That's a lot of rubbish. They
I
can't
was going to
reach
say,
it.
do you believe in nuclear? Because there are
Um,
theories, like you see these footages. I think it's on Joe Rogan, and all these so-called footages of these nuclear explosions. How come the camera's always intact?
yeah, they do exist. My understanding is they were cut off in 1967, but they'll still use it as a threat. Now, there's plenty of other weapons of mass destruction. We touched earlier on about technology. I'll tell you now, there is no new technology. None. It's millions, if not billions of years old. And a lot of it was developed by us, and it was turned against us. Why us? Because we are different. We are the creative peoples. It's us that creates it. And they are given or trading um, certain things from this planet in exchange for weaponized technology. And they will not release technology unless it's weaponized against the people. Not a single piece of technology that's come out, and a lot's come out in the last 40, 50 years. Every single piece of it is weaponized against the people, including the internet.
Oh
But
yeah,
the internet
just look
backfired
at the
on them.
word. Think of the word internet,
Yeah,
the
they're
World Wide Web. What do they
they're
both do? Catch. Yeah.
trapping you in the web.
Mm.
But they also tell you that
It was essentially,
that is the God. AI is the God. How do we know that? Because they tell you, but we don't define it. They said God is someone with a white beard that sits on a cloud.
mm. I thought
That's
that was Santa
AI.
Claus. Mm.
That's AI sitting in the cloud. That's why they tell you to pray above. But why did they use the word pray? Because if you change an A for an E, they're preying on your energy that you're giving them. That's why the new churches all have spires. They're full of the energy of the parishioners, and all this energy is collected and it feeds what we know as the beast. It's all about the energy. Money is about energy.
So, would you say then modern day Christianity and all the other religions with the church, they're all secretly harvesting energy for the beast and not the God that
Yeah,
everyone thinks?
yeah.
So, this is literally Satan's playground.
In this, I don't know whether it was volume 1 or volume 2. What has it come out? Maybe it hasn't. But there's another series that's on thi-show.com
Okay.
where it outs religion was brought here in 22,500 BC by Lucifer and his army. And it's designed to make everything external of you. And you'll realize it within yourself. You're always looking for somebody else to save you. No, the savior is you.
The body's the temple.
The physician is you. Once you develop yourself, you can heal. You break your bones
Is
and
that
you have to.
like alchemy and stuff?
Not quite. Look at the word alchemy, the chemist of the gods.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
for fuck's sake! Right, right. Help me out
Yeah.
with this then, okay? Because you hear about all this new age stuff.
New Age was a program
Yeah.
designed by Blavatsky and others, including the KKK guy, which is not what you think either. That was the enforcement arm of the Democrat Party. Nothing to do with blacks. The KKK
Okay.
originally.
So
So
is meditation, is that new age or is that one way of, because how do you access the godliness within if you're not doing any kind of spiritual practices? And what are those
uh,
spiritual practices which aren't demonic?
yeah, well, anything that is declared as Eastern is not good. It Kundalini, that's the serpent again.
Mm, the
Sit in the
energy.
co, sit in the cobra, serpent again. So all of them, the cities and all them, I think that's in the book actually. Yeah, that's in volume 2 or 3 anyway, about the Indian thing. Is we never had religion here. It was the belief in the self and that God was always within.
Does this predate paganism?
Paganism was what followed before Christianity, but paganism, there's some nice
But
parts of paganism.
was that still brought over by Lucifer though?
Yeah,
Paganism, where you're
it
worshipping the natural rather than.
yeah, it's a sacrifice cult. They're all sacrifice cults. That's why Herod, was, the Jewish king, killed all the firstborn,
Mm.
sacrificed. Solomon built a temple using demons, and yes, they exist.
Isn't
Using
Sol all moon all things for the
yeah,
sun as well?
yeah. Well, they tried to do that and corrupt who the solar being with Ra, who's the serpent. If you've watched Stargate, the series,
Mm-mm.
it tells you in the first episode. So you gotta understand all sci-fi are documentaries. And
Yeah,
once you understand this statement, then you'll go, oh my God, is you cannot imagine something that doesn't exist. It's not possible.
like death.
You can't imagine something that doesn't exist. So all those creatures that we've all been grown up on all exist somewhere. You can't imagine something that doesn't exist. So how did they know to put them in their movies? Because they're telling you, but they wrap it up in fiction, myth, folklore, all this stuff. But it's actually real.
Well, see, I've often thought this with dragons versus dinosaurs.
Yeah,
Like
well,
dinosaurs, the word wasn't even invented until like 1800s.
Well,
But the
the
Bible talks of dragons.
yeah, that's the dragon man. But there are dragon beings. They're from Hydra Draconis. That's where the dragon comes from. The fiery serpents.
So they're
Yeah.
real.
Like I said, you can't imagine something that doesn't exist.
And they're what on this earth.
We had dinosaurs and the dragons on this earth some time back.
But not now. There's
They're not kind of, sort of, no. Some are in stasis, but they will not be allowed out.
what does that
Some of
even
them,
mean? Some are in status.
some of them were put to sleep
Like
some time ago to wake up and come back at a
so like all
different
like
epoch.
hibernating mode.
Yeah, the same with some of the giants. They started waking up in 2012, 2013, and they had to be put back to sleep or sent away.
Is that why
Um,
churches have such tall doors?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And do you buy into the theory of um, these mountains that we see are actually petrified trees from giant trees?
Mm, yes,
Yeah.
they because the trees are living beings like us.
Hmm.
Just because they don't have eyes or talk, well, they do
Well, they
talk,
do
but
talk
just
to each
aren't
other. Yeah.
there, and they talk to each other, which is more than what we do, sadly.
Mm.
Um, well, if you the Avatar movie revealed that we were a lot more in touch with nature and in particular the trees. And the reason why people, even though they're kind of mocked, what they call the tree
Tree
huggers,
huggers. Yeah.
the reason why they do that is because the trees kept the memories. We gave ours away, or technology was used to wipe our memories before reinserting us back onto this planet over 78,000 years. We've been in a loop system. Now, a lot of that technology has been taken away in the
It,
last 10, 12 years.
would you say that's what like reincarnation is? This endless loop of
Yeah,
recycled souls just to
yeah.
harvest this energy, just this continual.
No, well, because the controllers, the dark force controllers here, had control, they were using it a different way. Is when you die, you go for your own review, not pearly gates and all kinds of
Mm.
others sitting and weighing hearts and feathers and all that crap. Is you have your own life review, and no one's more harsh on themselves than you.
100%.
And so then you assess whether that lifetime you learned this lesson or that lesson. And once you understand there is, if you treat all good, bad, and indifferent experiences as one and the same, you recognize that they are lessons in life to develop and make life easier in the next lifetime, to pay it forward.
I don't want to come back.
Well, I get that. But then this is not the only habitable planet.
That's fair.
So
Mm.
the recycling back and sticking on this planet, and I've spoken to people who have been in what I know is called the six loops of 13,000 years, which is then 78,000 years, which just happens to be the same duration it would take to work out the Mayan clock. Because that's a clock, 26,000 years. So you have to have observed 26,000 years to make sure it's right. In the second 26,000 years, it can confirm depending on where you started. But it always takes a third to confirm that the other two matched the sequence. 3 times 26, 78,000 years. And they put us in a loop system here for the last 78,000 years where everything repeats. We were talking about that before. Find the pattern, it always repeats. It's got to. That's how they know, because nothing is new. It's been done before.
How
We
do we break
thought,
out of this?
well, we learn knowledge and truth. We learn to develop ourselves. I'll give you two examples. We all had in the UK the IRA
Hmm.
doing bombing in the 70s. Yeah,
Yep, yep.
they also did it in 1870. And then we had the love and light hippie movements, 1960s. But it was also done in 1860.
Really?
100 year programs.
So this is also, I suppose, a bit like the COVID and then the Spanish flu.
Yeah, well, the Spanish flu came out of a US military lab. So did the COVID.
So I
For
heard that the Spanish flu was linked to when they started messing around with radiation, like your phone signals and stuff.
Yeah. Well, some of that was to do with Tesla, because Tesla was not. Let's just say Tesla was different, and it was
Good,
him.
different.
The rumors from the higher ups was he was dropped off in a field in Croatia, and he was adopted by an elderly couple. Hybrid. He came in with the knowledge.
So not
Now,
human.
no, a hybrid, part human, but hybrid, yeah. That was what I was told from the higher ups. Now, he sent a signal in 1899 that went out into space, and he didn't know whether it worked or not. And then in 1923 and 1933, racers turned up, said someone sent a signal in 1899, and we picked it up. So that's why you've seen the increase in the off-world in the last 100 years or so, because Tesla sent the signal out.
Blimey.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, then we've got to talk about Project Bluebeam.
Um, well, we tried to reverse that uh, as part of one of the plans. There's
And
Project
who's
Blue.
we?
Um, People who work for the betterment of humanity on a different level. We do get help more than what people think.
From
We,
otherworldly
on, in, and off.
Middle Earth.
Yeah, so there's more miles of tunnels than there is roads on the surface,
I can believe
and
that.
there's 3 times more water below than on the surface as well.
Would you also say, because I know you said that you believe in this spherical Earth, but do you think the Earth is actually a lot bigger than we're made out? Because why have we got the Antarctica Treaty when we've been at war with countries throughout life, but no one's ever backtracked on that treaty? What are they hiding?
There's all kinds down there that they don't want others to see, particularly people like you and I.
Land
There's,
mass,
uh,
life forms.
yeah, not as much as there once was. There's a crystalline city down there that's all burnt out. There was a war down there, but there's a crystalline city,
Who was the war between?
to the off-world.
And How does this all go on unnoticed? I mean, is that
Well,
how earthquakes are formed, or there has to be some
well,
kind of reaction on Earth?
the earthquakes, the minute they say it's 10 kilometers, it's a weapon. And most of them, the Haitian one, 10 kilometers. The tsunami in when hundreds of thousands died, 10
Back in
kilometers,
2004, wasn't it?
something like that, yeah.
Mm.
So you always look, the minute it says 10 kilometers, that's a weapon. It's a pulse weapon
Is
that
that
they
why they
have.
say 10 kilometers? Is that them having to tell you?
Yeah, well, again, you work out the patterns. I worked this out a long time ago. Why is it 10 kilometers and what is the connection to that country? Well, I needed to take over Haiti um, for mining and bases to surround Cuba. So they moved the Haitians out. And to do that, they flattened it. 10-kilometer weapon. It's a pulse weapon. You know, we've heard of the DEW or direct energy weapons. That's a laser, but we've had lasers here a long, long time.
Do you think
The
that's what they
first,
used to bring down the Twin Towers?
yeah, it wasn't planes, but that was clever CGI and all kinds of other things. But
See, now
there
I
was,
did speak to I had an interview with, I think it was allegedly Dave, aired today actually, yesterday. But he did say that he was in New York at the time and he did see a plane. So
yeah,
do you think that could have been holographic then?
yeah, there's actually pictures where you see the wing missing.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
You know,
goes behind the building.
uh, see the problem. This is where they're clever, and this is where we're not bright enough. Is they gave you, and again, I'm going to talk about it, but the cliched meme. It's always the future.
Mm,
So that stays in your psyche, you see. Well, this is not now. The Terminator, future. No,
mm.
I've seen videos of robot armies in 1971. It was filmed. There is no new technology. The minute they produce it for the benefit of the public, A, it's weaponized against us, and B, it's long in the past. It's not recent. They just introduce it for specific control type purposes. There is no new technology
Where do they hide all this technology?
down below. Why do you think they built all those dumps? You know,
I figured that
it's
was so the elites could go hide when everything turns to
well,
shit on land.
there's that as well. You know, they're getting ready to run because they know the public's coming for them.
Where
But
do you see us in 10 years or 20 years?
um, I think this world is going to split, and there'll
In a literal
be
sense?
and a metaphysical sense because it's always as above and so below, and as was then, so without. Um, what they're corralling people into doing is to go into 2D, and most people think 2D anyway. I don't mean that as demeaning. We're just not knowledgeable
We're not
enough
there yet.
or understanding enough. So most people think in 2D terms, and this is what the virtual reality world is, a false reality world. But what people don't understand is, for most of our lifetime, unless you can see, there's a difference, not just using this or these, unless you can see, this whole lifetime is virtual reality.
But what is
Because
this, like the simulation theory?
there's that as well, but that's more to do with the astral, the
Okay.
simulation, and the holographic thing is the astral. But we've lived through a plethora. of lies and distortion. So we've not experienced reality. And then we have a problem with far too many people. They don't want to hear the truth. They will run a mile from it. They just don't want to hear the truth.
Ignorance is bliss, eh?
Yeah, but that's a lack of personal responsibility.
Mm.
And if you don't have personal responsibility, someone is going to control your life for you. That's how it works. But if everyone in Britain magically got together, or even half, or even a quarter,
It
that
takes
said,
something like 5%, in it?
yeah, they can be 3 to 8%, and says, we're not tolerating you anymore, to Starmer or any other clown. And they're all clowns. They're all leveraged by Mossad as well. That's the biggest program on the planet. And said, we're not consenting to this anymore. They have to step down. They have no option. If we lined up all the elites, as you would call them, on a large road, yeah,
Yeah.
you can do that, and walk through them, you'll realize they're all doddery and deranged old people.
Oh, yeah, they're fuckwits.
And we're allowing doddery, psychotic, deranged people who have overdosed on adrenochrome
Oh,
to
there's
keep.
a red flag for YouTube. Yeah, carry on.
Sorry, the Russians just stopped an Israeli ship with adrenochrome from 10,000 children. By the way, I was in the show last week. So that is embarrassing for a species and a race that's the crown of creation, that we would allow a load of psychotic old people, most of which can't walk without assistance, to run our planet. And the reason it is the people run the cabal. And most people don't want to hear that.
Mm.
But they bring out political correctness. That was to shut off your throat chakra, right there. And the people enforced it. They brought out wokeism, and the people enforced it. The transgender program, and the people enforced it. It's not the cabal. It's the people themselves. We're enforcing our own slavery.
That's where the sheep mentality comes from.
Yeah,
Mm.
the government. You're asking them to control your mind. Government. And we vote for it. You
Some
know,
people do. Yeah.
uh,
This is why I don't agree with petitions and stuff, because it's like begging
no,
your
just,
masters to ease up on you. You're giving them authority just by doing that.
yeah, these protests, they're all run by agencies, MI5 and MI6 over there, and CIA over here, and other agencies. Protesting is a waste of time. The one thing that they cannot handle is if you cut off their shekels, the money supply.
Well, this
That's
is
why
why
there's,
we've been talking over here. A few of us have made videos about just doing like keep doing 3 day protests where you just don't leave the house. You don't go to work. You don't spend anything in the shops. You don't fill your car up with fuel. You just stay at home for 3 days and just camp out. And you do
yeah,
that every other week or something, because
yeah,
that's the only way that it hits them.
that's what I would call clever activism.
But
You know,
then the flip side of that, if there's like the money that you've said exists and with something like 200 and something or bloody zeros on the end of it,
yeah,
why are they so desperate for what we've got? Because the only money they're taking from us is the money that we actually have to go out and earn. So that's only going
no,
to be a limited supply.
no, you've already earned it. The trust is supposed to pay for you to live on this planet because you're meant to learn and grow. But they're harvesting. That's what they want us for, to harvest us like batteries.
So is there not like a god that's going to come and save us and say, "Oh, you bunch of bastards! That's not.
No,
This wasn't the plan."
because this is a free will universe. One of the high level meetings back in 2013 is, and I was complaining on behalf, I wasn't the only one, on behalf of humanity. And then one of them says, I don't see many unhappy people. I don't see many complaining. So you might, but they're not. And I couldn't argue with him. We don't complain.
Can we just talk about the meeting?
Yeah.
Who was in the meeting? Where was the
Um,
meeting?
um, the meeting is with a council, and there are many councils.
Like a
But it,
galactic council type thing?
yeah, not the Galactic Federation of Liars, as we
Mm.
call them, because they're all corrupt. But there's a Universal Council and there's many other councils. There's an heirs council. They are in part the heirs, which is Ursa Minor and Ursa Major, are part progenitors of us and this planet. They were here a long, long time ago. But originally, the white race came from Lyra, and everyone has their own council. And there's an actual document, I can send you it,
Please.
connected with a group, um, the ICC. You've
What
heard
does
of
that
that?
stand for?
International Criminal Court, but there's also the ICJ.
Mm.
But behind that is a group of royals, proper royals, not the public version. I tried to engage them, but whether it got blocked, I don't know. But I wanted to speak to them, like I've spoken with Rothschilds on all the levels, the top ones and some of the lower Rothschilds, um, to see if we can find a way out of this mess. Because what I do know is that the elites were duped as well, and now they're terrified. I said earlier about things not working the way it should be. It's them that's waiting for the savior to return and pick them up and take them off while everything else goes
But
to
aren't they
shit.
like inherently evil?
Uh, there's elements of it. The problem is once you dance with the dark, it ends up getting worse and worse and worse. Part of the problem, you've got to understand on a soul level, we are both light and dark, all of us. We all have a monster inside of
Yeah,
us.
yin and
Which,
yang.
which side comes out? Well, in this lifetime, you might be playing a light being. The next one, you'll play a dark being for your soul development. So that in overview, neither is right and neither is wrong. It's a perception. And yes, we want to fight. It's the duality problem. So light fights dark. The blacks fight the whites. The reds fight the blues. But people forget there's a triality. And that's what we should be in a 3D, not 2D duality.
Mm.
Two gods, dual. You see? And they kept going darker because their controller told them the darker you get, the quicker we will get the ascension. And I know they told them that. And I've spoken to them. And I said, I told them, you've been lied to. No, no, no. They wouldn't do that to us. Well, they're finding out now they were. So the controller got all these elites to collect all the assets of the planet. And once he had them all, 2007, he pulled the plug on the financial system. So now you know why the 2007 crash. So they lost access to the trust. He was giving them pieces of paper with numbers on, and they were buying mansions and cars and boats and yachts, but they were also buying up mines and gold and silver and platinum and all these other fancy metals. Gold is not precious. Gold in galactic terms is junk metal.
But it's only expensive here, isn't it? Because of its conductivity. It's
Well,
not so much.
the designated money system is gold and silver. Your mortgage you cannot pay off with pieces of paper with numbers on. It's not possible. They'll discharge the debt, but you haven't paid it off. That's why they tell you when you get the deeds to your house, it says in the deed you're a tenant, which means you don't own it, but you've paid for it.
Mm.
But that's a whole other game. You know, the mortgage, the minute you sign for the mortgage, your house is paid for. It comes out the trust account.
Yep. You are the
So,
creditor.
yeah, so they take that loan, say it's 100,000, and take it to the Bank of England or the Federal Reserve, depending where you reside, and they leverage it times 9. So that 100,000 has just got them 900,000. And then you're paying back the interest on their loan. It's one giant scam.
It is. It is.
So we have to learn to come together. And I am asking your listeners,
Hmm.
I've said a lot of things that you may find not believable, but just keep an open mind with it.
And
Because,
buy the book
yeah, well, it's,
or
let's
books.
say, if you want to, you can go to the new blueprint, the new blueprint for humanity.org. You can see some of the things, or you can buy the book. And then on thi-show.com, from his story to our story. That tells you some of the stuff that I've said today is all in there and expanded an awful lot more. But you have to not keep hold of the belief structure, because the belief structure is false. It's the virtual reality.
Mm. Well, I think that's the one grateful thing that I can say with the amount of people that I've spoken to about all their different concepts and all these, my head's all over the place. I have no belief system other than what I feel, I suppose. But
Yeah,
thank you so much for your time today. I could honestly, I could go on talking to you for hours or listening to you talk for hours, but I've got an early start in the morning. It's half
no,
past 10
that's
here.
fine. Well, if
Um,
you
but
want me to
thank you
come
so much. And I would,
back
yeah, I'd be
on,
more than happy to have you back on and we could go over some
well,
other things.
we can go into more details. I've kind of skipped some bits. Like I said, I've got a lot of knowledge. Some of it came from the internet, some of it's personal experiences, and some of it came from the higher end stuff.
Well, I think we
Um,
should definitely get together, maybe converse and do a structured
yeah,
thing where we can go through
yeah,
notes and stuff.
if go over this interview and go, I need them to discuss more about this, and whenever I can answer it, I'll answer it.
No, that's
Um,
perfect.
Sometimes there's safety and security, there's certain things that are in play, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes, more than meets the
Absolutely.
eye. We, we see the effects, but we never look at the cause.
Mm. No.
And the greatest example of that is the Big Bang. They talk about the effects, but they didn't tell you what was the cause.
What was the cause?
Um, an explosion of suns and solar systems coming in from the next universe.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We shall leave that there on that monstrous headfuck. So thank you so much, very much for your time.
No,
For
thank you for having me
who's
on, and I
my
hope you all
pleasure.
enjoyed it.
Oh, absolutely, I did, and I hope everyone watching's enjoyed it as well.
Thank
And
you.
my pleasure. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to speaking to you all again soon. Bye for now.